Hey everyone, Livy here, back with another video. I'm going to keep this one quick, but I wanted to point something out because I was starting to get some very condescending, almost passive-aggressive comments in my video about this deck right here, right? The Victorian Fairy Tale Tarot, because I pointed out and showed in the video that in order to try to get to these cards here, I had to pry the gilding apart. And basically the condescending comments I started to get were saying, oh, well, you're not supposed to pry gilding like that. You can't be prying gilding like that. You need to be careful. You have to do X, Y, and Z. I don't think you have ever had a deck with gilding. Don't you know? You're not supposed to do that. That's basically what I was getting told. And here's the thing about that. These decks that are around this one, okay, I'm going to count for you how many decks I have that have metallic gilding, so then you could understand that, no, these aren't actually the first tarot decks I have had with metallic gilding. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 decks, okay? I have about 18 decks that also, as you can see all around me, have metallic gilding. And I can tell you now, these are a combination of indie decks and mass market. And I can tell you right now that none of these decks surrounding me, okay? None of these decks surrounding me, not one of these decks that had metallic gilding, okay? Not one of these that had metallic gilding. Not one. Okay? Not one of these decks had gilding that was so terrible. Oh, and by the way, so I even have more recent examples, right? I have a US Games deck here. Actually, this other one here is also a US Games deck, okay? Also has metallic gilding, see? Metallic gilding. I just want to point out that none of these decks that I'm showing here had gilding that was so terrible that I had to pry it apart one by one. And because I couldn't pry it apart with my long nails, see how long my nail is? With my long nail, I could not pry apart these decks without bending it. That tells you that this gilding is actually bad. This is bad gilding. This was bad construction. I am sorry to tell you that, but it is. If your deck is made correctly, if your gilding of a deck is made correctly, you do not have to pry it apart. You do not have to bend it every which way just to get your cards out. Point blank. Okay? I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news and tell you that the gilding on this deck was not well thought out. It was not well constructed and should not have had the lip it did and still does and should not stick together the way that it did. Okay? That's just a fact. I don't understand why pointing out deck flaws, which by the way, the people who are watching my videos are trying to watch them to see if these decks are worth their time. If I am pointing out a flaw in the deck, that doesn't mean that you cannot enjoy the deck. Okay, you still can if you want to. I am pointing out the flaws in these decks, however, because I like to be honest and truthful about the quality of these decks and make sure that people who might be considering these decks and do not want to waste their money, right? They don't want to waste their money. Don't waste it on a deck that should have been a little bit more thought out in its construction. Okay? Point blank. The gilding was not constructed well. All these decks show you that at one point in time, right, I bought these decks and they were new decks. And none of these decks that I showed on the side here had gilding that was stuck together. Okay? Mass market, indies, none of them stuck together. None of them had a lip. They are well-constructed decks. These two, I don't think they should have done the gilding. I also, oh, by the way, this is the box. Let me show you, okay? This is the box. See how loose it is? Your deck should also not be doing that either. And I also pointed that out in the video. But anyways, this gilding, as you can see, there's still parts where this gilding is still stuck together. I don't understand why. The cards, and that's the thing, this could have been avoided. I think the cardstock on this is fine. But I do think that if you created a campaign where you made over 100,000 USD, you could take a little bit more time to pause, to maybe fix your boxes and to fix your gilding. And also, don't worry. If you're okay with that, if you're somebody who watched my video of this deck and you were okay with those flaws, cool. But please don't be condescending to me, because I'm here to look out for people who now know what they might be getting into if they try to buy this deck, okay? Just so they know. And so I'm going to go now, but I hope this shows you that I do have decks that have gilding and none of them stick because they were actually well constructed. Pointing out flaws in decks does not mean that you cannot still like them. It just means I'm looking out for people who want to know if a deck actually has flaws before they buy it. Thank you and bye.